All right, very good. Thanks for coming this evening. I know we pushed back a week because of the long weekend. We thought we'd certainly have far less than we have here tonight, even though we do have the Grand Prix happening on the weekend apparently, and also the John Moore Field Day, more importantly. And thanks to Peter, VK3PH, who's going to present tonight for pushing, helping us push back for the week as well. So without more ado, I'll welcome Peter.
So yeah, I'm just going to talk a little bit about cybersecurity. I'm going to go through one of the government reports that's produced annually, actually every end of financial year. So the report I've got here is for 2024. 2025 one hasn't been completed yet, and then I'm going to go through. Is this on? Can everyone hear me? Yep. Oh, good. Okay. Ways which you can protect yourself from some of these threats. I've also got some stats in there from a organisation that I may or may not work for that shows you what sort of things are actually going on in a real IT environment. So the 2023-24 Cyber Security Threat Report is published by the Australian Signals Directorate every financial year. The latest report is 23-24. Some of the findings in the report I've summarised there. So, with Russia's invasion of Ukraine, that's now into the third year, which is we're getting a lot of cyber attacks coming from Russia, China, and all those sorts of countries. So you got your malign actors with state and non-state. They're improving their cyber capabilities every day. They're getting better at it, and they're increasing. There's an increasing risk of disruptions to Australia's critical systems and infrastructure. At the moment, the attack vector on Australia's critical infrastructure is the highest it's ever been. It's very, very, very significant. And trying to keep the guys out of our critical infrastructure is just it's a constant, ongoing task. The Albanese government has committed to $15 to $20 billion in that up to 2033 to enhance our cyber capabilities as part of the 2024 Integrated Investment Program. The report highlights the importance of strong partnerships between the public, and private sectors in defending Australians from cyber threats and making a country a harder target. Okay, so what they're saying is people need to, when you detect a threat, you need to report it, because if they don't get reported, I'll give you some stats about how many reports there've been over this period, but that's probably only a minute number of them, because a lot of them are not getting reported. Right? People are just writing them off, and you might have lost $600 or $1,000 or something on a scam. You're not necessarily going to report it, but if you do, it contributes to the cyber teams that are working in the background there. They get some patterns, and they can go and investigate and shut down some of these scam centres that are cropping up in third world countries, right? Reporting cybercrime incidents and vulnerabilities is a critical part of building the national threat picture and enables us to effectively counter malicious cyber actors. Okay. So what did they see in that 12-month period? And I can guarantee when this report comes out this year, 2025 report, these numbers are going to double at least, because the threat vector is very, very high at the moment. So they had over 36,700 calls to their hotline. Right, so they're calls where people have gone, we've been scammed, or we've been threatened, or whatever. Please help. Right, that was up 12% on the previous year. That number will be significantly higher in the next 12-month report. Average self-reported cost of cybercrime per report for individuals is about $30,000, right? So if you become a victim, on average, if you've reported it to the ASD, on average it's costing you $30,000, right? Some of them are a lot higher, some of them are lower. For businesses, it's even higher. Small business around 49,000, medium business around 62, large businesses around 62, 63 as well. And you may have read the report about the ARRL, right? That got hacked. Cost them $1 million. They had to pay $1 million ransom to get their systems back, and not to mention the disruption to all the systems that they had during the period that the threat actors got into their networks. So over 87,400 crime reports cybercrime reports were reported in that period. That was down a little bit on last year, but I guarantee it's going to be significantly higher. So that's an average report every 6 minutes. Someone's reporting a cyber crime. It's pretty frightening stats, aren't they? The top 3 types of cybercrime reports were identity fraud, so people stealing your identity and maybe creating a bank account or something in your name, getting a loan, buying a property, those sorts of things, with using your identity. Online shopping, things you order that never turn up, right? That sort of stuff. Online banking, so someone's hacked into your bank account and taken some money out. We had one the other day where someone said to me, for some reason we got a direct debit that was supposedly from one of the energy companies on our account. How the hell can that happen when we don't have a direct debit authority for them to take that money? And that happened on one of our finance systems. The top 3 self-reported cybercrime types for business: email compromise. People are the weakest point, right? Always have been, always will be. You can put as many technical controls in place as you like, but the human engineering that these guys do manages to circumvent those all the time. Online banking fraud, business email compromise. So business email compromise might be somebody gets into an email account, and we've had this happen. They actually got into the CFO's account and started sending him, sending finance invoices to be paid, $25,000 for a lawyer's fee. Looked exactly like one they'd previously paid. They logged into his account, approved the invoice for payment, and finance, the only way it got picked up was finance noticed that the banking details had changed. The invoice looked identical to previous one that they'd got from that particular organisation. The only difference was the banking details. So, the question was it picked up electronically, or was it picked up by a human? It was picked up by a human. When they went to pay the invoice, they realised that the banking details that they were entering were different to what they'd used in the past. So they ran some checks and found out that it was that wasn't a legitimate account for that particular company. So that's what's happening to businesses every day, right? People are sending through invoices for approval, and a lot of them are just slipping through the cracks. Publicly reported common vulnerabilities and exposures increased by 31% in that period, and 11% of all incidents responded to included some form of ransomware. Okay, and that's the ARRL was a classic ransomware. You pay us some money and we'll give you your data back, basically. And if you don't, well, you haven't got the data, right? Is the data worth $1 million? Are you going to pay the ransom, or are you going to play their bluff? Like,
what guarantee do you have you get your data back?
Well, because these criminals have got ethics, right? They do. They have ethics. They know that if they ransomware you and you pay the money and they don't give the data back, then they get a bad reputation on the dark web, right? Okay, so a lot of these are all these are the main things that you'll find. Account compromise, business email compromise. These are all links to the cyber.gov.au website, which I recommend people go and have a look at because it's a great site. There's a lot of information there. It tells you, what the current trends are in scams and what to do about protecting yourself against them. I can click into some of these links and explain what they are. It should bring up so account compromise. What is account compromise? So all of these, I can send out a copy of the presentation slides if you like, and you can click on the links, or you can just go to the ASD website and have a look for yourself. Account compromise is when criminals get unauthorised access to your email, banking or other accounts. Criminals typically use compromised accounts to steal personal information, money and identities. Australians rely on online accounts for all sorts of services, right? You're using them all the time for banking and making payments and file sharing and everything. While online accounts can be convenient, they are not without risk. So there's some advice on this page about what to do if your account gets compromised. I'm not going to go through all that tonight. There's a lot of stuff there to read. Business email compromise. I had links in there to make it easy for myself, but because it's across 2 screens, it's not that easy. So business email compromise is generally some sort of targeted campaign that is sent out trying to impersonate maybe an executive within an organisation and trying to get you to do something. Like the classic business email compromise, we've been getting these a lot lately. It'll come from your CEO and they'll send an email saying, "Oh, are you available now?" And you just don't look at the email address that it's come from, but you'll reply, "Yes, I'm available now." And they'll go, "Oh, I want you to do me a favour. I'm a bit busy at the moment." Then they ask you to go down to your local Apple store or your Officeworks or whatever and buy some iTunes cards. "Oh, I want to give some gifts to some of my employees for a bonus or a benefit because they've done something really good." So you go down and buy all these cards, these Apple cards, and then they ask you for the card number and the pins, right? And then they cash that in. Right? That's a classic one. We had someone fall for that a couple of weeks ago. Actually, a new starter. We just put them through all of their induction training, which included 6 videos that they had to sit down and watch around, this sort of stuff, cyber security, and then 3 days later they fell for 2 scams. One of them was the iTunes card. We picked it up when they went to when they realised that, hang on a minute, these cards are not actually going to my manager. They're going to someone totally unrelated because the email address that they were responding to was some random Gmail thing. And they fell for another one after that as well. I can't remember what that one was. Anyway, it's there's lots of them, happen all the time. So that's the business email compromise, and typically companies will get targeted in a business email compromise. So they know who your executives are for that particular organisation, and they'll pretend to be the executives from that organisation. And what we saw 2 weeks ago, they were actually spearphishing our business email addresses. What we're seeing this week is they're spearphishing people's private email addresses because they've been able to scrape that information off the internet. So they've gone through, worked out what company, all these people that work for this company, who the executives are on this company, and gone through and worked out, matched their private email addresses, because our anti-spam will normally pick it up and block it, but if they send it to their private email address, we've got no way of blocking it. So that's what they're doing. They're going around trying to circumvent the systems that we put in place to try and prevent this stuff from happening. And this has been happening over the last few weeks. So that's business email compromise. Crypto mining is another type of cryptocurrency mining. Uses the processing powers of computers to solve complex mathematical problems and verify cybersecurity transactions. So miners, so what they're trying to do is they try to take over your computer and use your computer in their crypto mining. The more compute power you've got, the more computers that are distributed on a network, the more likely you are to be able to, solve the crypto mining thing. And so they're trying to get control of your computer to be able to mine the cryptocurrencies because they're so valuable. Data breaches, well, we all know about Optus, Medicare, or Latitude Financial. Latitude Financial, I happen to know, they were running, they have some, like in the banking industry, they have a lot of regulations around certification of systems, and they were still running systems that had been certified on Windows XP, right? Because they didn't want to, because they only had a few customers running in that environment, they didn't want to have to go to the expense of having to recertify those systems on current platforms. And so their Windows XP environment got compromised and it found its way into the rest of the organisation. Bang, all your data's gone. Right? It only takes one small backdoor to get in and do a lot of damage. And data breaches can be very, very expensive for an organisation. I think you'll probably find that Optus are up for millions and millions of dollars to rectify that, not to mention loss of reputation, loss of customers, and all the other things that come along with those sorts of breaches. Hacking is one way. You'll find a lot of, we had one of these a few weeks ago again. It sounds like our organisation's always getting compromised, but we managed to detect and protect before it gets too far into the organisation. We had a third party, and this is always seems to be the third parties that was using an AWS workspace to support one of our key systems in our Azure environment. That workstation got compromised, and we found there was a script running on it that was doing a brute force attack on our Active Directory server. So it's just doing a lot of username passwords. It got to 1 million before we detected it. So Defender went bananas and said, "Oh, you've had a lot of login attempts on your AD." I go, "What?" And we looked at it and traced it back to this workstation, and have no idea how it got compromised in the first place. Blew away the AWS workstation, rebuilt it from scratch, and give the contractor access again. But the contractors are a classic for introducing compromises into your environment. Identity theft. We've talked a little bit about what identity theft is. It's when someone steals your identity. They'll find your details on social media or public websites, and they could get your data through a data breach, or they might get it through some physical documents that you've even thrown out in your rubbish if you don't shred those documents. Some of these people go to the lengths of going through your rubbish and looking for anything that they can use to identify you. So I recommend shred everything. The impacts of identity theft, obviously personal impacts it makes it difficult for you I know people that have had their identity compromised. It can take years to get that taken off your record, your financial records and stuff. It'll prevent you from getting loans in the future and all sorts of things if that happens. Malicious incidents, well obviously malicious incidents are really someone that just wants to bring your company to a screaming halt. and this can happen through DDoS attacks, which are the denial of service type attacks on your website, typically on a website. You might find that during an election, for example, like in the United States, they do all their elections online, so the Russians and the Chinese are probably sending a whole lot of requests to those websites to try and make them really busy and stop people from being able to access them and stop them from voting. That's how malicious attacks work. Oh, this is malicious insiders. So you can get someone that's pissed off with the organisation. They've been dismissed for some reason, terminated, and they're unhappy, so we've forgotten to disable their credentials. They've gone home, they've spat it, they've logged in, they've deleted all your data. You want to have good backups in that situation, so you can get it back. Malicious insiders are a very, very big threat. Malware, hopefully you've got virus scanning systems and technical controls in place to be able to identify any malware that's coming into your environment and block it before it does any damage. Clicking on that sort of stuff can spread right through your whole network. And they're typically used for doing ransomware attacks. So you'll put you click on a link, it installs a script, goes and ransomware's a disk drive or something that you've got in your environment. Phishing, well, I think we all know what phishing is. The human engineering side of things. This is, we all get emails that say they have some sort of urgency about them, usually got horrible spelling, usually don't address you by name, dear sir, or in my case, because my email starts with Peter.Hartfield, I get dear Peter.Hartfield, so you know it's machine generated. What they're after is wanting you to click on a link, and you'll click on a link. It might look like a legitimate login page for a website or for your bank or something, and put in your details. They've captured your details. Now they can use that to log in and get your money out of your bank, etc. Phishing is very similar to phishing, but these days you see QR codes everywhere. Don't trust them. Even in a restaurant, if it's sitting on a table, somebody could have put a sticker over the top, right? And you go to order your food, click on the QR code, and you enter your details because you want to pay for your food. It might even look like it's the legitimate website, right? Order your food, and next thing you know, they've got your credit card details, and bang, you're starting to lose money that way. So, particularly QR codes that are in public places, don't trust them, don't use them, don't scan them. Avoid them at all costs. Ransomware, well, we've kind of talked about ransomware. That's where they kind of get into your system and they encrypt all your data and then ask for money so they'll give you the password to decrypt the data. I know a couple of years ago now, happen to know the CIO there. They had a ransomware attack. They didn't have their backups kept off-site. They were kept on the network, same network. The backups were encrypted by the ransomware, so they had no backups to recover from. They spent 3 months with forensics trying to decrypt their backups to get their systems back up and running again. So message there, make sure you do backups, but don't put them on the same network that is exposed to everything else. Put an air gap there, or put them on a different network or in a different environment or something. Because they tend to want to encrypt everything, and if you haven't got a backup, the easiest way to... We had another attack, back in 2020, this one was. just as COVID was starting to ramp up in March, our financial server has an application server, a database server, and a web server. So most of the work's done by the web server and the application server, and all the data's kept separately on a separate part of the network. They came in, they encrypted the application server. Lucky we caught them before they got to the database server. We lost half a day. We managed to restore the application server from backup, and we were back up and running again. They got in through a stale admin account that was there. Once again, an account that was created for a third party to do support for a telephone network, and we got rid of all that telephone network, but we hadn't identified that there was an admin account associated with it, and the bad guys got into our network and they discovered this admin account. How they discovered it, I don't know. Right? A lot of this stuff is magic, but they have the tools and things to be able to do all this sort of stuff. They got onto that admin account and they used that to propagate through our network. And in actual fact, when we were trying to shut them down, we could see them creating new accounts in our environment as we were trying to shut them out. And eventually we just locked out the system so that no new accounts could be created. Got rid of all of our admin accounts. We just kept the one account active that we knew, and we've been lucky. They haven't come back in again, but that's how it happens. Sometimes it's just poor maintenance, or someone forgot to do something, forgot to disable an account that they should have disabled, and they come in, they've got admin privilege and they can go and do what they like. Run-of-the-mill scams, I think everyone knows what scams are. And you know, there are things you can do there to reduce your exposure to scams. So that's where we were. So I've covered off, these are the sort of things that are happening. They're happening more and more. People are still falling for it. So therefore they keep doing it. They'll keep doing it while people keep falling for these human engineering things. So, yeah, so this is some real data from a system that's close to my heart. We use a product called Mimecast, which does a lot of things. It blocks emails that it finds suspicious. It checks for malware. We also use it for keeping records of data searching and archiving, and we use it for security awareness training and a few other things. The thing that interests me the most is, see that inbound rejected number, 92%. Last year that used to sit down about 14. We used to get about 5,000 emails a day blocked. At present, we're getting over 200,000 emails a day being blocked. We only have I think we do something like about 80,000 emails, legitimate emails a day. It wouldn't even be that, actually. So the last figures I looked at, that total inbound messages, there's nearly 5 million messages coming in, and 92% of those are being rejected by the system because they're in the block list. I think I've got that on another slide. I'll show you that in a minute. So the stats down the bottom also talk about inbound malware that was detected. That's only 50. That's pretty good. Only 50 malwares coming in. Over on the bottom left-hand corner there, 6,017 clicks. So out of all the legitimate emails, well, all emails that got through into the system in February, this is 28 days of February 2025, people clicked on 6,000 links, right? Fortunately, down the bottom there, 1 in 430 was unsafe. And down the bottom there, 16 impersonation detections, right? So that's where the emails come in. It's got a user's name, but not the right email address. It's got some random Gmail address associated with it. So those are the ones that are getting through, right? It's the 92% that are being rejected that worry me. And you know, with sort of rates like that, and we've asked Mimecast, is this something? Is that just us, or is that something you're seeing globally across everybody at the moment? And they said, no, that's normal. That's normal. They're seeing the same sort of thing. So you can imagine how choked the internet is with all of this spamming and rejected emails. A lot of those are rejected because they're in the I'm going the wrong way. Well, that shows you that shows you the trend. Down the bottom, that's the legitimate email that got through. The green at the top, that's the block list. So we're blocking, you know, up to 200,000, and we're only allowing, you know, 40 or 50,000 through legitimate emails. And you can see the ones that we're blocking, they're found in the RBL, the block list. They're a domain or an IP address that's been noted as being dangerous because they've probably come from Russia or China or one of those countries. And what we've found when we looked into some of this, you'll find that a lot of them are coming from .ru. Yeah. So yeah, some of the other reasons why they're blocked are minor compared to, you know, the being in the RBL. So inbound malware, of the malware that's coming in, we're finding these are the different types of malware that's coming in. There's Trojans, there's AV scanning, there's all sorts of stuff coming in, and other, I'm not sure what other is. It's probably stuff that they haven't got a clue what it's going to do, but they do know it looks dangerous, so they've blocked it. This one shows, the URL clicks. So of all the email that's coming into the organisation, what's being clicked. You can see the graphs in the bottom left-hand corner, so they're green, orange and red. We're actually pretty good. So for the region, for the industry and for the site, we're in the low end of the orange, right? And you can see how high our stats are. You can just imagine what the stats look like for some people that are in the red area. And that'll be your typical infrastructure organisations, your telcos, your power companies, your water, gas, all your utilities, right? They'll be up in the red. This is impersonation detections on particular days. Seems to be some trends in there. On particular days, we seem to get a lot more impersonation protections coming in than other days. You find, you know, when it's coming up to a weekend, these look like they're Thursday, Friday, Saturdays. They tend to try and put out a lot more email because people are impersonation emails. People are trying to get away, so they don't pay as much attention to what they're doing during those periods. So the bad guys look at all these stats too, and they work out, you know, when's the best time to send these. When are we going to get the greatest maximum success? Okay, so how do how do we defend against all of these attacks and things? Well, number one, we've got a lot of technical controls in place that detect these things. We use things like anti-malware. We block emails that are in the blocking list. We'll check links when people click on them, and we do security awareness to make people understand. When an email comes into our organisation, it's tagged external, right? So if they see an email coming from the CEO and it's got an external tag on it, it's a good indicator that that probably didn't come from the CEO, because he wouldn't be sending you an internal email from an external account. So MFA, does everyone know what MFA is? Multi-factor authentication, right? And this is something that most organisations are starting to force you to use these days, right? So you need 2 or 3 or more types of identification to be able to get into an account. So we have MFA on all of our accounts turned on now. So if somebody steals your username and password, they still need your phone or some sort of alternative authentication device to be able to log in. And generally your phone could be if you're trying to log into your email, it's no good having email as your second factor, but you can have an SMS, you can have there's authenticator applications. There's the Microsoft one, there's a Google one, there's a Salesforce one. If you look at my authenticator, I've got Face ID. There's lots of them, right? Every account these days, everything you want to try and log into should have multi-factor authentication on it. It's a pain in the ass. It really is. It's really painful sometimes to get into your accounts. And even now, the government they've changed the MyGov to My ID now, right? So, to get into Face ID, I need Face ID. So that's a Face ID is a multi-factor as well. So it recognises my face to let me log in. That's one way of doing it. So I've got very strong authentication on my ID, so that'll allow me to get into the tax office and to Medicare and to anything that's state revenue office or anything that's even the ACMA now, they use the My ID for logging in. So if you want to get into the ACMA, your ACMA account, you'll need multi-factor authentication as well. Very critical. That's been a saviour plenty of times. Using long passphrases instead of passwords. Passphrases are good because they're generally, you might string 3 random words together or something. Projector, sign, screen, So 3 words that you can remember, and try and change the case of some of the letters and maybe add a number or 2 or a special character, like you could put a space in between the words or a hyphen or something or a dot, and that gives you a bit more protection. And the longer the passphrase, the better. I know people that have got 32 character passphrases, and you see them when they're trying to log in, it's like typing for a month, trying to get into their account. So if MFA, particularly if MFA is not available to you, then a long passphrase is a good option. Always check to see that you've got auto updates turned on, so your virus software is always being updated. If you're running Windows, make sure you're running Defender in the background. It's probably one of the best antivirus softwares you can get these days, because and it's built into the operating system, so it doesn't use excessive resources for doing all the checking. Make sure you back up your important files regularly, and as I mentioned before, don't keep them on the same device that you're logging into, keep somewhere separate, so you can always go and grab them and restore them when you need them. Just be very alert for phishing messages and scams. We've talked about what they look like. They're getting so much more sophisticated nowadays. So a lot of like you have a package delivered, or we tried to deliver a package, and you get an email. It looks like it's from Australia Post, right? Just click on this link, and we'll organise for it to be re-delivered, right? No. Just be careful of that. Facebook Marketplace is a classic. There used to be the, I can't think of the name of the scam, was with one of those money vendors, can't remember that one. But the latest one, there is also an Australia Post one, where they, you put, particularly for electronics gear, if you put electronics gear on Facebook Marketplace, the last time I did it, within 5 minutes of me posting an advertisement, I had 3 people saying they wanted to purchase the device. And, oh, by the way, we can't come and pick it up. We'll organise for an Australia Post courier to come out. Drive you nuts. And even when I said, no, it's cash on pickup, they come back with the next part of the template, which says, oh, but I can't actually get there, and I live, in Broken Hill or something, and $300. So they're agreeing to buy something sight unseen, and all they're interested in is scamming you out of money, right? So you can sign up for on the cyber.gov.au website. You can get a free alert service there, so you can sign up for that. So they'll send you alerts to the latest things that are going around, so you know what's happening. And their recommendation is, if you do get scammed, don't try and hide it, or because you're embarrassed because it happened to you or something. Report it, talk to someone about it, and that way they get more information about what's actually happening and how many of these scams are going on, because they're only speculating that they might get 10,000 reports, but there might be 100,000 scams that went on in the same period. They need to know about them so they can go and investigate. And I think that's pretty much the end of it. So there's a thing called the Essential 8 that the Australian government recommends, and that's pretty much all of the things I talked about there. Implementing MFA, making sure your systems are patched, making sure that you've got backups, all the essential sort of hygiene type things.
Thank you, Peter. On behalf of the club, and you've been a long-term supporter in many ways of the club, I'd like to make this small presentation to you on behalf of everyone, and thank you very much again for giving up your evening. Much appreciated.